God, I forget where the music ends. All right, kill the music. Kill the music. How is everybody doing? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy Sunday. As you can see, we are going to be straight onto the big screen today. There's videos and stuff to go over. You don't need to see my mug today. All right. You know what I mean? It's a Sunday. I don't want to do it. I don't want to put any nice clothes on or do my hair or anything like that, right? I don't want to do any of that. How's it going, Amy? Good morning, UFOs in the mix here. How you doing? How you doing? I like the weekend mornings for shows. That's what I'm doing next. One long live show once a week, cutting them down into clips to premiere at 5 a.m. time during weekdays. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I don't really do these like on a weekly basis or anything anymore. I just kind of go with the flow. I meant to do a show on the Wall Street Journal, part 1 and part 2, and I had like slides and everything built for it, but I just didn't end up doing it. When I built I didn't have the slides built at first. Let me take that back really quick. I was going to just read through the articles. But then with the paywall involved and everything, I was kind of like, I don't know if I'm really going to do that. There's probably some weirdness behind that. And so I started kind of making all these slides for it. And I was like, damn, this is like a lot. And I was like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. It was kind of late anyway. It was like 2 weeks or so after the articles had come out, and it kind of seemed like people were moving on or whatever. But anyway, it doesn't matter. I made a million excuses, Amy. Okay. I made a million excuses. You know how that goes sometimes. I'm only human. What do you want? So I didn't end up doing that. But the news this year has been like Elizondo. It's always Elizondo all the time. I mean, that's kind of what everybody pays attention to. It's what seems to be the number one thing that goes on, that people start talking about and tweeting about, and starts to get the most movement out there. And we haven't really had anything like that since May. Since the UAP Disclosure Fund, big panel there with Congress, with Luna and Burleson and all of those, the peeps that were there. And then, of course, the irrigation photo came out, and everything's been kind of downhill with a lot of that. Even stuff for Lou has not been going, I'm sure, the way that he wants it to go since then. So this is kind of where we've been since May. Not a whole lot going on until this is typically how this goes, right? August 8th. We're staying on the big board here today. I believe I've already zoomed some of this in. And what we'll do is we're going to go through a few of these clips. So how I want to do this is, there has been a lot of stuff with Lou this week. I want to go over kind of where it started a little bit, at least from where I started noticing him coming into the conversation. And then we'll lead into the Luna, or we'll go into the restaurant, and then we'll get into the Luna situation. So there's kind of a timeline breakout of what I've done for this. So there's an order. And then at the very end, we'll talk a little bit about the rumors, what could be going on with the hearings of September. I'll kind of give you my thoughts that are coming along with that, and it should be pretty fun. I don't know how long this will go. We're just gonna go until we go. But I've been doing spaces lately. But when I want the visual aids, when I want to go over clips, this is kind of the way that I do it. I like to do it. That is, I know we can play them through a speaker and stuff in spaces, but they never really come out very clean. And I don't know. I like to start and stop and kind of go through the video of it. I always think that's a little bit more entertaining. So this is where YouTube comes in. Even though we're not always here, we are here sometimes. Okay. So like, share, subscribe. I know you've already shared the show, Amy. I do appreciate that, without a doubt. So let's get in the first ping. Okay. So Joe Merja. Okay. This is August 8th. All right. It says, Joe Merja tweets, "I lost followers and was blocked by many, including Lou," and he's talking about Lou Elizondo, "for saying things more mild than this. Lou Elizondo has been," and this is quotes, "proven time and time again to have said things that turned out to be not true. Can I believe a word that comes out of his mouth?" And we're going to get a little bit of that. I want you to be able to hear Chris Ramsey. That's the first clip we're going to go to. This is Area 52 podcast. This is with UAP Gerb. They kind of have a little short back and forth about Elizondo, and this should be pretty interesting. So we'll go ahead and go full screen, and we'll go ahead and run the clip. If the audio needs to be bumped a little bit, I'll do that as we go. I can watch my meters though, so I'm trying not to kill anybody's ears. But here is Chris Ramsey and Gerb talking about Lou Elizondo from the 8th this month.
Yeah, it's tough, man, because you don't know who to trust. Right. You get a guy like Lou come here, and talk about these things. And, he's a really nice guy. Like, I met him. He's like a super friendly person. But from his background and from everything else, like, I don't know if I can believe him. And that's just the state of things.
I don't blame him for this. Okay. And I like to stop these clips and comment as we go through them. So don't be surprised here if I don't let it all run all the way through. But I don't blame him. There have been a lot of issues with Lou lately. Okay. I mean, the chandelier photo, the irrigation photo, these were all things that we were told were motherships, and he's interviewed the pilots, and a lot of this stuff hasn't been proven if it's not already been outright debunked and falsified. So I don't blame him for that. And I'm also not surprised to hear this from Chris, to be honest. Chris comes around some of these UFO Twitter spaces where people talk about Elizondo, and we kind of get into the nitty gritty of it and everything like that. So he's being honest here, and I will give him credit for giving some honesty. Now, is he sugarcoating it a little bit? A little bit. Yeah, okay, but that's okay. I understand the situation, but we'll continue with the clip here.
I don't know, like he's been proven time and time and again to have said things that turned out to not be true.
Yeah.
So then you have to start asking yourself, even though I like the guy, even though I think he's, a nice person and means well.
He's doing everything he can right there. Nice person, means well. He's doing everything he can.
Man, like, can I even believe a word that comes out of his mouth? And this happens, and I don't want to be paranoid, but I'm also facing the reality that these programs stop at nothing to confuse you, to remain completely aloof.
Well,
yeah.
Lou did previously work at the counterintelligence field activity, so I don't want to get involved in the drama there, but I do think that is something for people to.
And neither do I.
About.
But I'm not attacking this, but
right.
I'm coming at it from a very pragmatic point of view. Yeah. And if Lou were sitting here, I'd say the same thing to him. That, like, although I think you're a nice person, you've been nice to me. I now know that I might not be able to trust you when it comes to these things, because you might be doing your job.
Yeah.
And I just got to step away from that a little bit.
And especially in this field where there's so many psyops and psychological warfare. I mean, recently with the Wall Street Journal piece and the Yankee Blue.
Okay, before we go any further on that, so obviously he's speaking his mind here. He does seem a little nervous. Gerb seems a little nervous to kind of say anything that's a little bit that could be considered not cross, but anything that's maybe not the company line when it comes to Lou, when you really kind of like break all that out. Now, do I think myself that what they're saying is anything that Lou Elizondo would listen to and be very upset about? Me personally, no. Now, maybe that's just me, because I mean, on Twitter, you hear everything, this, that, and the third, as they say, about Lou. And I've heard people say way, way obviously more scathing things about him, call him a liar, a fraud, what have you. So I'm not surprised by this. When I hear them talking about this, I don't feel that this is a very big shot at Lou. I don't think Lou cares. And as we continue on with the show here, you're going to see, I mean, as you probably have already heard a lot of this, Lou's got a lot of other things on his plate right now, and especially in the congressional sense of that. I don't know if Lou, and it's no offense to Chris, but I don't think really Chris is on his radar right now. I don't feel that that's something that he should be kind of sweating about when it comes to that. Lou's got the restaurant, as we're going to get into, and he's got there's other claims that have come out today that I don't know if I'm going to go over them, because there's just, it's just kind of rumor mill a little bit. And I think I want to let stuff play out with that, but he's got a lot on his mind. Okay, he's got a lot on his mind. We'll finish up the clip.
Hey, if Yankee Blue can trick 10,000 Air Force guys, go ahead, release those documents and the photos that tricked so many people into thinking we had an anti-gravity drive. It's not classified because it's fake.
Yeah.
Go ahead, pop it out. Let's see it. It doesn't have to wait till Aero Historical Report Volume 2, which it won't be in.
Yeah, I agree with him on this. I've been saying this for a while now. So ever since the Yankee Blue report came out, ever since the Wall Street Journal came out, that Aero needs to just release those documents, especially since they already have them, and they should have already came out with the historical report. As we know, that Aero held back those documents. I don't want to, tangent too much here on this, but this is an interesting point that he makes, and I agree with him on it, that they need to release those at this point because they were already due. They were already due. And if they are going to look into those, if they are going to put those out, there's a lot of people like Luna did recently on Rogan, which I didn't pull the clip for this, but I might as well at least mention it, is that Luna had said on Rogan that she, in a skiff or what have you, had seen an actual craft that she thought wasn't made from humans, wasn't made by humans. Okay. Now, where did she see that photo? Is she even really, does she even have the credentials to even say that? I don't know, but it would be interesting to pull out the Yankee Blue photos, have her look at those and see if she could point out, hey, this is what I seen, and we know it's a fake, right? If that's the case, if Yankee Blue is all, if it's all what it's cracked out to be at that point. All right. So that's kind of how everything started. And you had a lot of other podcasters. I know that Patrick from Veta had commented on this. He kind of had his own feelings on where these guys would stand, and are they out there for the attack? Could they be attacked? And there's a lot of opinions that are out there. Mine is I don't think so. I think Lou's got other things on his mind, and one of those things, as the week progressed, this is just a couple of days later, I think everyone was surprised by this. Moody Mongo, how you doing, bro? He says, long time no see, missed you on the scene. Yeah, bro, I'll be doing some more of these as time goes on. Like I said, there's no schedule for this stuff right now. UFOs, Moody, it's just so slow that, when something really, really, I think comes together to where I can put together an interesting timeline and bring it to you guys for some cool content, we'll do that. We'll do that. But yeah, so August 11th, a few days after that, we get this tweet from Stephen Greenstreet. And honestly, I heard it from Red first. I think Red was one of the first people to post it. But it says here at the top, and maybe I can zoom in again for you guys. Let me zoom in one more time. I always feel like I'm under zoomed sometimes on this stuff. It says from Stephen Greenstreet, UFO prophet Lou Elizondo, he loves it. Greenstreet loves his wording here, has opened up a bar in Buffalo, Wyoming called Bombshells. I like the name. I like the name Bombshells personally. There's been a little bit of a contention. However, I don't think Lou will have any issues with the name Bombshells. There is a restaurant chain, like a bar and grill chain called Bombshells, but I think Lou has like this cantina name attached to it that we'll pull up I'm going to switch over to the article in a second that we can look at. So I think he'll be in the clear. I don't really believe that he'll run into any issues with that. It says a Wyoming newspaper wrote a very long article about Elizondo, his life, and his bar. No mention of UFOs, which is interesting. There is a little bit of a mention as we continue to dig in here, but we'll jump over here to the article. Okay. So we're not going to read this whole thing. Obviously, there's a ton you can go through for it. I'll link the article at the end of the show. I guess I probably should have linked it at the start, but we'll do it this way. So the top headline of the article: New World War II themed Buffalo bar is a throwback to a vintage officers club. Owners of the new World War II themed Bombshells American Cantina. See, that's where I think he's going to get. He's going to skate free on that. I don't think he's going to get any trademarks or anything because of the American Cantina. In Buffalo, say it may feel like a vintage officers club because of all the military artifacts they plan to display. I have stuff, and this is a quote from Lou, I have stuff that's absolute museum quality, one of a kind, said Elizondo. And, I think I remember in his book that he talks about all of this World War II memorabilia that he has. It's hard to remember, but I think he makes at least a mention of it in his book. All right, so here's Lou. This is the picture that the reporter took. Here, they're out there. But I don't think they're at Bombshells. This is like a different place where this photo has been taken out here. I don't think this is, let me see. Does it say, from left, Tucker Alger and Lou Elizondo talk about their new cocktail lounge in Buffalo. Yeah, so this is Tucker Alger. And Elizondo's been friends with him for a while. And I swear to God, I tell you what, guys, I key into faces. Like when I see faces, I'll remember you for a long time. I don't know what that is. I'm terrible with names, but when it comes to faces, I'm going to see you once. I'm going to be able to see you forever. And I kind of wondered, where did I see this guy before? Like, oh man, I couldn't think about it. And then I was talking with Red the other day on his space, and he had mentioned that he had been talking to Lou, I think, on Twitter back and forth, and they had mentioned some things. And this is Tucker Alger on Twitter. And I believe he changed his profile picture. Don't ask me why I remember this shit. I don't know. I just do. I think it was a picture of him with sunglasses and headphones on. I don't know why would that stick out to me? I have literally no idea why that would stick out to me, but it did. And so I pulled up his account. I'm like, yeah, let me double check. Let me see where this is at. And this is a video that Tucker posted. He cleared a lot of his Twitter, so maybe he's just like getting ready for, the bar ownership, and he wants to start maybe focusing on more of that. But it says, I actually took this video. This is Tucker here. We were not moving or traveling in this video. Remember this video? This video everyone gave Lou a bunch of shit for. They said, he's driving, but he's not paying attention to where he's going, and people were going in on Lou for this, right? And yeah, so this was a big video, and I remembered, I remember seeing this video, okay? And this was in November 20th of 2024, so this was just about a week after the November hearings in Congress where Lou was at. And so Lou was on his book tour. You guys remember he was doing that book tour, and we can run a little bit of this clip here. Might as well.
Hi, everybody. Lou here. Had a really, really wonderful night with our friends here in Springfield, Missouri. Nixa, fantastic at the Atos Theater. Just a really wonderful time. Thank you all so much for coming out. And now we're on our way to Dallas, Texas, via Houston. So cannot wait to see you all there.
So he's heading to Dallas, Texas. So this is an earlier marker of a relationship between Tucker and Alger. I don't know anything else besides that. The article mentions a little bit further that we can read at, but that was just a little bit of a, now you know who we're looking at a little bit. And he's got the backwards hat. I'm a backwards hat guy, I like that. And I like the Glock hat on Lou. I can't lie. I myself also own a Glock. So yeah, Glock man. Yeah, I like that. And this is like the first time we've seen Lou that I have noticed that he's getting in better shape, I would say. Right? It looks like he's getting in better shape. I don't think he's sick. He doesn't look sickly to me. But I think the time off that he's had since May, he must have been working out, or when you're not on the road that much, you can eat better, right? You hear a lot of comics over the years, they talk about how hard it is on the road, and you put on weight, and it's tough to kind of keep the weight off. And he was out traveling around a lot. And so when you're eating fast food and you're eating kind of whatever you can get your hands on late night after podcasts, because he was on those podcast runs, you probably pack on the pounds, man. So it sounds like he went home to Wyoming there in May and, decided to start eating better and get his health in order. Plus, I think losing his 50s anyway. So, blood pressure, the heart, it doesn't surprise me. We'll look at a little bit of this article here. It says Buffalo. Luis Elizondo's father was a successful restaurateur, but growing up, Elizondo swore he was never going to work in a restaurant. I think he mentions that in his book too. But yeah, Elizondo's father ran an Italian restaurant there in Florida when they were kids. Life has when he was a kid. Lou's an only child, to the best of my knowledge. So life has a way of twisting such youthful vows and making them come true anyway. So it is that Elizondo finds himself opening a place he calls Bombshells American Cantina in Buffalo, Wyoming. It's a cocktail lounge and restaurant project he started with his best friend, Tucker Alger, whom he met in Buffalo. Okay, so he met him once he got out there. The path for an Army veteran landing in Buffalo and starting a restaurant despite the childhood vow to never work in or own a restaurant is a long and winding one. It started when he was a boy, hearing his father tell him that if he wanted to learn about leadership, he had to first learn to serve. All right. That led him to join the Army right after college. And we'll go past some of this, guys. We'll go past a little bit of this. This says, everyone calls me Lou, he told Cowboy State Daily, because despite being Cuban, I look like I'm from Iowa, but Spanish is one of my primary languages. Oh, wait. Okay, so we're going to move through a little bit more of that. Where was that part at we want to get? Okay, so it says, I felt like stepping back in time, and it planted a strange thought in his head. Okay, now we're getting into what he's talking about with the restaurant here, okay? Wouldn't it be cool if we could recreate the environment from our fellow veterans and law enforcement back home? He recalled thinking, play some authentic 1940s music like the Andrews Sisters and have stuff in there from the war that is authentic museum quality. But the biggest thing Elizondo realizes he wanted to bring home to such a club was something intangible, something he feels America has been missing of late. Wouldn't it be great to experience what one of those is like? I mean, camaraderie, he said. And that sense of patriotism and pride that we used to have as a country and that somehow we've lost over the years. Do you guys feel like we've lost some patriotism over the years? Man, I remember after the 9 double hockey stick. You got to be careful how you say it on YouTube. They'll kill us. Everyone was really patriotic. So, I mean, it's probably not as much as it was, but this is the front of Bombshells right here. This is the front of the bar. From what I'm aware of, they're not actually doing any food just yet. They're working on that. They're going to get the kitchen going and stuff like that. But you have the Bombshells here out front. Got some planters. So they're getting it rolling. I'm not a super big fan of the lettering here. I'm not a fan of the titling here, if you would say, the signage. They'll probably get a better sign as time goes on. This place needs like something neon, a little neon. At the front patio, this looks nice though. I'll give them that for sure. You got plenty of places to sit, have a couple 6-pack of Bubba soda, 6-pack of beer. Woody Mongo says, I wonder if it was Lou's dad, who was Cuban, who ran an Italian restaurant. That is true. That is true. So yeah, you got the American flag, obviously red, white, and blue. He's bringing back the Americana without a doubt. You got some memorabilia here, the old TV. You guys remember these old TVs? Oh my goodness, dude. I've had some people in my family, grandmas and stuff, that still had old TVs like this when I was younger. You'd see them in those rooms. They had all sorts of stuff all over the top of them. That was a big deal to have a TV like that back in the day. You guys remember that? I remember. I remember. And then this was the cocktail cart. So I believe that they were driving this thing around, pulling this thing around, and they were kind of doing promotion before the building and everything got ready. That's what it seems like to me. So they were out there, and they ID, of course. So you could get out there and get access to some of their cocktails. Obviously, we have some more World War II memorabilia here, some more extra seating. It does look very bar seating for now, right? A lot of smaller tables. Not set up for looking for food. I guess maybe there is one there. Lot of liquor though, a lot of liquor. I know Lou's gonna want a couple of Chardonnays in there, a couple Chardonnays. He's not gonna go without it. So that's there. Is there anything else we kind of want to look at from this article? You guys are kind of getting the gist. There is a lot to go through here, and I'm seeing we're already 24 minutes in, man. The time goes fast when you're having fun. So vintage cocktails, artifacts, and events. One of the things that Alger and Elizondo believe will make Bombshell's American Cantina feel authentic is all the military artifacts they plan to put on display. I thought they were going to talk to me about the cocktails. Give me about the cocktails here. Okay. Among these special artifacts is... Oh, Lord. Where is this at now? I had this in my head. Here we go. Here's the cocktails part. Everything. They also turned one of their walls into a 3D mural using the actual cone of a vintage airplane. Everything on our cocktail list is vintage, Elizondo added, and it's inspired by this time period, like the French 75 cocktail, whose name was drawn from the French 75mm weapon. The drink originated in Paris in 1915, but was made popular by the movie Casablanca. So that's the reason why I wanted to get to that, is because we're going to take a look at the drink menu. We got to be able to see the drink menu here. Moody says, can't see Lou working in the restaurant. In my honest opinion, I figure his friend will be running it. Yeah, I mean, look, I can see Lou back behind the bar, man, mixing up some cocktails. I see it. I'm sure he's going to want to hang out there. I'm sure he is. Before we get to the drink menu, we do actually have a little bit of video of the grand opening here. All right. We get a pretty interesting shot here. Let me get this move here. I got to get a little bit of this coffee going too, guys. Lou Elizondo's new bars from Red Panda Koala. Shout out Red Panda Koala. Red's been clipping like crazy. I think Red maybe has like 3 or 4 little shout outs in this episode here. So Lou Elizondo's new bar, Bombshells, grand opening. The local mayor cut the ribbon. Let's watch the ribbon cutting ceremony. No? Why not? And this is Lou obviously on the left here. The mayor is in the center here with the blue shirt.
Thank you. Thank you. On behalf of a very, very grateful family, this establishment is dedicated to you. And I want to also do a very special thank you right now, not only to our muralist, who, when you go in there, you're going to see something that is absolutely stunning. I also want to thank the mayor here for coming out here and doing this for all of us. And thank each and every one of you for...
Hey, thank you, Mayor. We love you, Mayor.
What you've done and what you continue to do for our wonderful community. So thank you very much.
And Lou's got the skinny jeans on, by the way, he's got the skinnies on. Lou's getting in shape. You know what I mean? Shit, I'm not laughing. I wore skinny jeans all the time. Not anymore. But, I was big into them. Maybe I'll get a pair again. Maybe I'll get a little inspiration. But he's got the skinny jeans out there. So yeah, they've got the ribbon cutting that's going on here with the mayor. I just wanted to kind of stop and point out. And we're going to get a chance to see here at the end of the video, too, how many people are there. And we'll make a little interesting comparison. Mayor. Look at that, huh? Look at all these people. How many people did TTSA have at the grand opening there? At the grand reveal. The last time Lou did a big reveal was with Tom DeLonge and the boys, and they didn't have a single fucking person in that place. All right, I'll try to keep the F-bombs at a minimum. Sorry, guys. I forget we're on YouTube. We're not in Spaces. But yeah, I mean, take a look. They got a lot of people there. Everybody's getting hype on Bombshells. And there's the Jeep that they were talking about. I hate when these videos move like this, man. It's hard to get it where I want it again. Oh, okay, we're going too far. So anyway, there's the Jeep that's out there. Somebody's brought a Jeep. And we'll get to the rest of the video here with the ribbon cutting.
Happy you're here. I know walking through, you can kind of get sentimental. And when you see the wall of heroes, it's great. It's touching. So, you know what?
They got a wall of heroes in there.
Too, and they can get a picture, a name, a little story about them up on the wall. So, salute your local. Are we ready?
Oh, we're cut the ribbon.
I'm going to cut this ribbon and then trim a tree.
Hell yeah.
Before I cut it,
He baited us. He baited us.
Support these two really good, too. It's going to be my new hangout.
All right, there you have it. Grand opening. It's open now. So Bombshells is open. The mayor says it's going to be his new favorite place. You know, there you go. All right. So that came out. Very interesting. Now, as you've seen from some of this video here, okay, and as you've seen through some of the photos of inside Bombshells as we went through, really no UFOs. Really nothing UFO related at all. Very odd, no? I think it's pretty strange. Lou's built all of his fame on UFOs in the time that he, worked at OSAP and, whatever you want to go with ATIP and blah, blah, blah. I'm not trying to, dig all into that right now. But, I mean, Lou is known for ufology. He's known for that book. Okay? So you would think if he was going to open a restaurant that he'd have at least some of that stuff in there, right? Unless you maybe were trying to move away from that narrative or that theme in your life. He could be looking to move away. The only thing that I can see or have seen yet that has anything to do with UFOs at all would be on the drink menu. Okay. So let's take a look at this drink menu here. All right. This is red again here. All right. Actually, you know what we can do? I always forget to do this. We pull it up like this. Yeah, we can. Okay, there we go. We can zoom in a little bit. All right, so here's the drink menu that we was talking about. Casablanca French 75. That's there. The Bombshell Crush. I always kind of wanted there to be one like the Orange Grush, instead of Orange Crush, so it's kind of similar. It's similar. That was kind of my guess and ended up being there. You got the Kamikaze Lemonade, the Frank Sinatra's Rusty Nail, the Manhattan Project. That's an awesome name for that. I got to give him credit on that one. Elizabeth Taylor's Chocolate Martini. But then you have the Roswell 1947. Okay. Recovered near a New Mexico crash site, this glowing green cocktail contains a blend of top secret ingredients known only to Bombshells bartenders and beings from Zeta Reticuli. Ooh, well, Zeta Reticuli. You get a little bit of the Bob Lazar little reference in there too. No. Equal parts B-movie monster and mid-century housewife. Now listen. Now Lou, this is what Green Street says about this stuff. He says it's all silly monsters. He's taking a note out of Green Street's book here. And mid-century housewife. It's fizzy, flashy, and definitely not FDA approved. Drink it before it disappears. And remember, this conversation never happened. Okay. But that's really all that I have been able to see that has anything to do with UFOs. And it is of my opinion, and I'll talk a little bit more about this as we continue on, but it's my opinion it's on purpose. I think that he is kind of setting up for his future, his exit from the limelight of ufology. I mean, at some point, you kind of got to step away no matter what. And especially if you don't change the world with this, right? If we don't get disclosure from him or disclosure from anything else, that credit's just going to move on. You're just going to be another person in ufology that had a lot of stories and, what have you. So he's kind of looking at the long haul. Now, a lot of people were making a mention of this too, which is pretty interesting, is that when you look at this restaurant, right? Well, you wouldn't open up a restaurant if you thought the world was ending. So I don't know about that 2027, 2030 business that's been going around, So what's going on with that? Unless he said, hell with it. We only going to have 2 years at this thing, but we're a year and a half really at this point. we're just going to go ahead and do it. I think some people were saying bucket list around in spaces that are out there. Moody Mongo says maybe this is the building. Maybe this is the building that Ross talked about. They built the restaurant on top of a buried UFO. Any UFO term would work for cocktails. The gray, the tall whites. Yeah. The tall white. That would be a like the White Russian drink, right? But you put it in a tall glass. A White Russian in a tall glass. That's good. That's a good one. I don't know if he gets food in there, which they're gonna have some kind of food. You gotta have to have onion rings. I'm a big onion ring guy. So look, I know there's going to be a lot of people that are going to look at this restaurant and they're going to go, to hell with this. He took the book money, didn't give us disclosure. They're going to be really against this restaurant. They'll say then they'll never go, blah, blah, blah. Look, I'd go eat there. I'd go hang out, Shit, that, what was it? The one I was looking at before, the Atomic Painkiller. I think that's the rum one that's on the list. Man, I'd have one of those, I'd go see it. Everything with UFOs is kind of already unfolding on its own at this point, guys. Disclosure and everything that's going to happen at the end of the year, it's kind of on its own trajectory. Him opening this restaurant, guys, is not, I don't know, dude. You're not stopping any of this at this point, right? He's going to go do that. Support it if you want. If you don't want to support it, don't support it. Obviously, always be nice. Don't review bomb. Don't cause any trouble with over there. I always want to put that out there too. We were talking about that the other night, that let the guy be at this point, man. It is what it is at this point. It is what it is. But so the restaurant is there. Now, as the week continued, now it's not August 14th on this part of the week. Remember, we had the August 11th is when this started coming out here about this restaurant. A couple days later, as we continue to move on, Moody says the world will be gone by then. Yeah, okay. So as the week continued, Lou got in the news, right? He was in the news. Joe Rogan had another guest, as he always does. A new guest, a new UFO guest, which I kind of look at as a UFO guest. I know they talked about other things too, other topics, Ark of the Covenant, stuff like that. But Anna Paulina Luna goes on Joe Rogan. Why is this a big deal? Stephen Greasy posts on Joe Rogan, Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna says UFO activists Lou Elizondo, Chris Mellon, and David Grush are quote unquote full of crap, since they all called out sick the day they were supposed to reveal their alien evidence inside a classified skiff. Okay, so let's play the clip here and we'll hear what Luna had to say. We'll jump full screen and we'll take a little look.
The problem is I've reached out to some of the biggest names in UFO lore, and they all got skiff flu, and we call it skiff flu, meaning like the day that the skiff was open that we reserved it, we're like, we're here, like, come on, come brief us. They get sick, or
and
their dog dies.
They didn't recover and come back?
They didn't recover, and then they just don't talk to us anymore. So
they ghost you?
They ghost us. Yeah, so
now the ghost this part, that's something to remember as we're going through this, because I think from the responses, because of course there were responses to this clip. I mean, my God, people, we're on Joe Rogan, We're talking millions of views. You're going to have to respond, right? The ghosting part, I think, is what's going to stand out to me later on that we'll go over. But we'll go ahead and finish this up here.
Like, well, if you're not going to tell me to skiff, then you're full of crap. The problem.
Okay. So when I hear this clip from her, I'll play this little part again because this is only 10 seconds or 20 seconds.
Is I've reached out to some of the biggest names in UFO lore.
Okay, the biggest names in UFO lore. Okay, let's think about that right now, right? You think she reached out to Bob Lazar? I don't think so, right? Plus, Bob doesn't do Congress. Bob does documentaries. Bob's not going to go there. So I think it's safe to take away someone like Bob Lazar, right? I think you're more going to lean towards people that are in the congressional view, if you will. What I think she's talking about is the most popular people, and I think it's probably unarguable at this point that Lou still is extremely popular, even though he's been gone for a little while. And I don't think she asked, Stephen Greer to come in a skiff, right? I don't think she's asking Greer to come into a skiff. She's talking about people who have classified information, right? Or potentially do. You want to put it that way, all right? So that's who I start to think of. Christopher Mellon, David Grush. Grush is around there, obviously around Congress. He's chilling with Burleson these days. They're hanging out, talking about, tall whites and stuff like that. They're having interesting conversations. But that's who I think she's talking about. So when I hear that, that's where I'm at right away. You guys, your mileage may vary.
Okay. And they all got skiff flu. And we call it skiff flu, meaning like the day that the skiff was open that we reserved it, we're like, we're here. Like, come on, come brief us. They get sick or
and
their
they didn't
dog
recover
dies.
and come.
So obviously she doesn't believe it, right? She doesn't think these people are sick. She thinks they're avoiding it. She's clearly not happy about it. She's rubbed the wrong way. Which, I mean, look, if that's the case, if people are skipping it and they don't want to go down and testify, that's making her job much harder. You know, she's the head of that federal task force, the secrets task force. Later on, I got a clip that we'll get the right name for it off the top of my head. It's a little bit difficult for me right now, but she's ahead of this, and she's responsible for not only the UAP stuff, but she's responsible for the Epstein stuff, the 9/11, the JFK, MLK. So she's got a lot of responsibility right now to start kind of pulling this stuff together for this task force. And if she feels that she's being avoided and they're getting in her way, then yeah, she's mad. She's mad. Now, is she going to go on here and say Elizondo this and Mellon that? Probably not, right? She's probably only going to hint at it. That's the political game. It's all politics, as we know. She's a politician. I'm not trying to say that there's a shot to her, just saying it is what it is. She's a politician. So they're going to, infer and kind of let you fill in the blanks. So this was kind of an interesting little clip here. All right. This made waves, as they say, ladies and gentlemen. Waves. How you doing, Puck Elf? Good to see you, buddy. Thanks for stopping by. All right. Now, of course, as I mentioned, this is on Joe Rogan, so Elizondo is going to respond, and he's going to respond publicly. I would assume he would respond publicly. If I was Elizondo, well, I don't know. I guess it depends. I'd have to think about that. I would still probably want to respond some way publicly. Yeah, I'd probably want something. I mean, she did, right? So here's the public response from Elizondo. After several visits to D.C., at the request of members of Congress at my own expense, we were given cancellations at the last minute. Okay. After coming back home again, I made it clear the last time that I had a pre-existing commitment. Now, this will come into play later, guys. So remember this: expenses, keep in your head, pre-existing commitment. This will all come to play. He continues, I was given 3 days notice and no guarantees while having committed to speaking in Oregon publicly available. Luna knows the truth, and we have the emails to prove it. I will chalk this up to her not being informed by her staff in an innocent mistake, ... I hope. Now, you could read that, I hope, as a innocent mistake, I hope, or innocent mistake, I hope. Okay, there's a lot of ways you could interpret that. You know what I mean? Now, Lou doesn't like when people come out on a public stage like this. This is different. Like I said earlier, this is a little bit different than Chris Ramsey and UAP Gerb. Look, they've got big channels and stuff like that, but we're talking about Joe Rogan here. Okay. We're talking about people being accused of skiff flu, right? That's obviously a dig. And then the ghosting them is obviously another dig, as if he's avoiding. This is major call out here. So we know he can get a little bit of a temper about this. So I wouldn't surprise me if he meant a little bit of I hope. Okay. Not saying he did. I'm just saying it wouldn't surprise me. Otherwise, let this be a lesson to future whistleblowers who want congressional protections. This is all about media attention and less about truth. I hope this is not the case, and I suspect Chris Mellon and others at the UAP DF, what is going on? Why is he spelled all crazy like that? That know the truth may have more to say about this. So he tags Mellon, obviously Rogan, and Anna Paulina Luda. Now, I haven't seen Rogan make any mention of this or go over this at all. And then Chris Mellon, of course. This show is going to run long, guys. Holy. Maybe I should try to get this thing moving. This is going to run a long time. I haven't seen Chris Mellon comment on this at all yet. I looked again today. Haven't seen him say a word. So it's interesting enough. And so Lou has a little bit of a kerfuffle here. Okay. He posts this, these are emails here. It says, good afternoon. I sincerely apologize for the late notice, but due to the ever influx congressional schedule and some conflicts, we need to shift the non-governmental briefing to the week of May 12th. And so they mean SCIF. We will reach back out with a new date that will hopefully work for everyone. Look forward to seeing you all on Thursday. And then, of course, everyone on this email here, he does the old redaction on the iPhone, and you can see through all this, and you can kind of see David Grush's email and stuff like that. Not good. Not good. If you're responsible for classified information, you got to do a little bit better than doing that, huh? You don't want to dox those emails out there. That's a terrible deal. I mean, it's, you know, it's all out there now. What are you going to be able to do? So, of course, Luna is going to respond. Luna is the one that did respond to the post. So, Rep Luna on the 14th, a strange and frankly bizarre post from someone I didn't even name. Ooh. Elizondo, you have my number, yet you went on X instead of contacting me directly. Which, that's what I'm saying. I think Lou definitely could have called her. But I understand, like, being a little bit pissed off and kind of, you know, wanting to get out there and get your public voice out there too. So I look, I kind of get it. I kind of get it. Plus, when you look at that email, that the following days, they were kind of shortchanged on the time frame on that. They were. I'm okay with a little bit of the receipt that we just seen from Lou on that. I can understand that. I don't agree with all the reasons, and we're going to get into that, but I'm just simply saying you can see where things are getting a little dicey. All right. It says, I'll continue reading. It says, we've been coordinating with the same organization you were a part of, only to learn after the UAPDF roundtable that you had left. Correct me if I'm wrong. So as you guys remember, after the irrigation photo, Lou was getting a ton of heat, and he ended up doing a multiple apology videos, and he had a big apology tweet after that irrigation photo. And then he ended up leaving the UAPDF, which, you know, I when that happened, I kind of said that was probably the best thing to do. I mean, whether or not you agree with Lou or believe Lou or you don't, I mean, we were looking at, you know, multiple photos that Lou had released that were not real photos. And so 2 of them within that 6-month time period. So a third anytime soon was probably going to be pretty disastrous when it came down to that. So I agree that, I agree with him kind of stepping down with that. Now it says, regardless, you could have still come to the skiff at any time. As I told you, we'd work around your schedule. So Luna's still saying, hey, look, prior engagements, we had to shift things around. I hear you. But the problem is, Lou, is that it's a wide open skiff. You can come whenever you want. You got to be able to come whenever you want. Okay. And so here it is. And then she says, let this be a lesson for all UAP whistleblowers. We have an open skiff policy. If you have information to share, we will gladly host you. How Lou handled this wasn't immature. It wasn't just immature. It was odd, especially since I never even mentioned him by name. Yeah, you didn't, but like, come on, anybody who looks at this topic at all, though, Luna, we know. Like, we know. We know you mentioned him, okay? I'm not mad at her. I'm just simply saying, let's keep it real. We know. And yes, I still extend the invitation now. If you have anything, come in and brief us. We will get the skiff. It's 100% on you. Oh, and she put you in all capital letters. She's saucy. She gets a little saucy. She gets on Twitter and gets the Twitter fingers rolling. And, you know, she's snapping back. Now, just if I can jump 1 second back to Lou's post here, because when you talk about the claim of being ghosted, all right, and she talks about this a little bit on her tweet, obviously right here that we just read, it's an open skiff policy. The one thing that when I read Elizondo's initial response that I did not like this. He did not seem eager to get back. He seemed very, very eager to give his reasoning or excuse, whatever word you want to put on it, to why he didn't go to the skiffs and why he couldn't make it and what was going on in Oregon. But you would think, I would think, that someone in Lou's position, I mean, he can, if he really wants to, he can, you know, talk about all the way back to 2008 if he wanted to. You know, since 2008, he's been working on making sure that he can get this disclosure to everyone. The hero of the UFOs, we've been visited, that people need to know. I mean, we're working on, you know, 18-year campaign. You would imagine after 18 years or so that we know of, maybe there was even a little bit further back. I don't know. But you would imagine that he would be itching to get there. And that this time frame these had ever since then. I mean, we're talking about, guys, he left the UAPDF in May. You know, we're in August here. So there's been time for him to kind of get back and do that. Now I know he's putting together the restaurant, stuff like that, what have you. But there's no urgency. You got to have that urgency. And that's what she's kind of leaving here. All right. Now, of course, Eric Burleson, okay, Rep. Eric Burleson, he has been all over the place. And there's no way that he's not going to get in on this, right? Come on, Burleson's in there with Grush. Burleson's been kind of like, been a big champion for a lot of this. He's been or at least the only guy we've really heard talk very much about this lately. Oh, I see UFO Historical Archive, Koala, Red Panda. What's going on, buddy? Let's go, Luna. Yeah, let's go, Luna. We got Red here, Team Luna. Do we have any Team Lus? We may have a Team Lou. There could be a little back and forth in the chat here. We'll have to see. Moody, are you Team Lou? I think you're Team Lou, Moody. I think you are. Maybe Puck Alpha is. Moody's going to go, fuck no, I'm not Team Lou. He may be, though. Okay, but anyway, Eric Burleson jumps in here on the 14th. Same day. All right, same day. Eric Burleson says, you are both patriots who are passionate about serving our country. I take blame for this because the problem we are facing is that we were trying to align the stars and have everyone be in the skiff briefing at the same time, which is clearly much more difficult than I thought. All right, especially considering that it is on their whistleblowers' dime, and many of them legitimately have service-related health issues to varying degrees. Now, I want to bring up a point. Okay, I want to bring up a point, and let me move. Give me 1 second, guys, as I pull up this point here. Okay, I want to bring my desk up here. All right, I can sit up just a little bit more here. So I want to bring up a point. Okay, whistleblowers' dime. Let me ask you something. Why is it on their dime? Why does it have to be on Lou's dime to come out? Okay. Some people say, well, how does the government pay for it? Well, I would say that there is a place that could probably help him out with that. And that would be the UAP Disclosure Fund. Okay. That's what I think a lot of this is all about over here. No? Let's take a look. And this is from the UAP Disclosure Fund website. Advancing Truth, Inspiring Change. All right. The UAP Disclosure Fund is the preeminent civil society organization dedicated to advancing the understanding of UAP. I hate saying UAP. I just say UFO. Our team of world-class experts engage with the public, the U.S. government, academia, and the private sector to foster transparency, shape policy, and champion scientific inquiry. And you guys can't see it because it's cut off because of the way I have my OBS set up. But up here it says donate. Let's click donate. What if we wanted to donate? You can choose your amounts here. Monthly. You can do monthly. You can do $250 a month, $100 a month, $50 a month, like that guy. Or you can do one-time donations, $1,000, $500. Listen, guys, this is where the money should be coming from. I mean, you think people aren't donating? I guarantee you people are donating. I'm telling you, this is where it should come. And what should make this, drive this point home even further at this point, okay? If the point hasn't been driven home yet enough, even if Lou has left the UAP Disclosure Fund, and at the time he didn't, so I think that they could have given the money, but even after, who's part of our team? Let's click our team. Oh, no shit. Christopher Mellon, right? Right? There's Mellon. All right. So he's at the top. Lou's good friends with Mellon. There shouldn't be any issue talking to him, getting a little bit of money here for transparency, to get him to the skiff, to let out all the info, to bring us disclosure. That's transparency, if you ask me. So I think that this is kind of where this should be happening. I don't know what else they're doing with the money here when it comes to this, because they're not, the UAPDA. I mean, I understand, you know, they're big involved when it comes to that and all of that, but when you really look at it, they're not even like talking about that this year. There really isn't much conversation about the UAPDA at all. Maybe there will be in a month or so. I don't know. But I seen that Jay Stratton had posted like a petition for people all kind of say, hey, come on, vote for the UAPDA, and we got to get it added into the NDAA and all that stuff. Which when I looked at the petition, I thought, damn, that's kind of sad, man. That thing is not really going anywhere. We're still petitioning it and everybody knows about it. So that's not a good sign. So this is kind of where this stuff should have went. So continuing back on the tweet here. especially considering that it's on the whistleblower's dime and many of them legitimately have service-related health issues to varying degrees. Yeah, and people did mention that at the UAPDF roundtable there in May, that Christopher Mellon did look pretty sick. He probably was sick. However, he's there giving presentations. You know, he probably could have took some Dayquil and had it on in there, right? Lou Elizondo, that being said, if you wish to come in and do the briefing in the skiff, we can work around your schedule. I'm happy to talk offline about how we can make it work, and further how we can make the experience for whistleblowers not as much of a sacrifice as it has been. Okay, so they're looking to do something about it, looking to make things a little bit easier. Shit, Grush is around there now. You know, Grush is getting paid. Grush is hanging out around there. Moody Mungle says, so I prefer UFO too. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't like the UAP thing, dude. I don't like it. I don't like the trajectory that disclosure and ufology has went ever since we've kind of like adopted that name. It's got a bad taste in my mouth since the New York Times article kind of ended up being a mess. A mess, I think is fair to say, at least for myself. That's my opinion. So, of course, Elizondo, the next day after Luna was on the 14th. Elizondo responds August 15th. This is from UAP James. He's been on it too. There's been a lot of that going on too. He's been posting like crazy. Elizondo goes on News Nation. Now, if you look at the title of the show, at least on the thumbnail, okay, it's titled "Don't Tread on Me." Okay. Why is that the thumbnail? Don't tread on me. It does sound good, you know. And I think that Lou probably doesn't want to be tread on, and that's why he's wearing this hat. If you look at this hat here, probably gonna have a hard time seeing it because it's a little bit blurry. We're dealing with Twitter, but it says "Don't tread on me." And you know, Lou likes to put little signs. You know, he likes to put little signs on things. And I'll tell you, as we play this clip, I don't know if we're going to do the whole thing. We might have to. I can't remember if we go through the whole thing here. But it is, you can see Lou is visibly very serious. You could say borderline. You can tell he's a little upset. Okay? At least that's what I get from it. We'll see what you get. I'll play the clip.
You are in the middle of this public back and forth with Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna.
By the way, when is Lou not ever in the middle of the public back and forth? That's why we're here today. Here you go. Lou loves his theatrics. He sure does. But look at his face. Red. Look at his face, bro. He's for real. Don't fucking tread on Lou. I'm telling you. He's pissed.
She has been a big supporter of UFO transparency, but now she claims that whistleblowers are dodging her request to have people like you testify in a classified room called a SCIF. It's a sensitive compartmented information facility.
Thanks for that, guy. Thanks for that.
She didn't mention you specifically, but take a look.
I've reached out to some of the biggest names in UFO lore. They all got skiff flu, and we call it skiff flu, meaning like the day that the skiff was open, that we reserved it. We're like, we're here. Like, come on, come brief us. They get sick. They ghost us. Yeah, so I'm like, well, if you're not going to tell me to skip, then you're full of crap.
Now, after you criticized her comments on Joe Rogan's show,
look at that face. He's pissed.
She replied back. She said, "You're a strange and frankly bizarre post." She didn't even mention you by name. Lou, what is going on here? Why do you think she's referring to you? What's happening here?
Sure. Well, first of all, let me applaud the work that she's doing for disclosure and for greater transparency. She's doing a tremendous work in that area. And
I love this opening, by the way, too. This is really good. He comes out, fully compliments her. Very political start here, you know, because at the end of the day, no matter how pissed Lou is, he really doesn't want like drama with people in Congress. I don't think he really does. Right? Why would you? Why would you? So even though he's mad, he's got to work it a little bit.
Big fan of her. I have been for a very long time. I've spoken to her many times, very frankly. But this was clearly, if you look at social media, this was a reference. She refers to skiff flu, referring to the individuals that were originally arranging a skiff meeting for her. That was myself, Chris Mellon, and several others. Now, she did not mention me by name. And in all fairness, I really hope this is a miscommunication.
Now, there was a little bit of a difference there. Okay. Now, I heard as we read through Lou's tweet where he says that I hope so, the ... I hope so. There were people that were speculating, as we did, okay, that he was being a little forceful there, a little aggressive. He makes sure to punctuate and show you that the I hope so was just a I hope so. He does it right there. It's just these little things that you pick up on when you watch it. It's interesting, but continue, Lou. Sorry.
But if she was referring to me, and by the way, in her tweet, she didn't say she wasn't. She never said I wasn't talking about you, Lou. So we still don't know. But if she was, I needed to make it clear, because if someone's going to go on and...
Do we not know, Lou? Do we not know? Come on, we just had a tweet war back and forth. I mean, it's pretty apparent that the people that are involved in the back and forth are probably the people that have been spoke about. I mean, I don't know. I guess we're just gonna do this the I don't know game. I guess so.
Internationally syndicated podcast and make an inference that I, for whatever reason, had flu and was sick at the time of a skiff. That's not accurate. It's not even remotely in the world of any type of reason. In fact, I've already talked in a skiff already with the DOD and the DNI as well. And by the way, under their IG programs. And also, I testified under oath before the American people, and I was in DC 3 separate times when our meetings in the skiff were canceled and postponed.
Okay, but Lou, here's the thing. We understand that you testified in front of Congress, but when you spoke to them, you said, I can't talk about that in a public setting. You said that a lot. I'm not trying to get down on you for saying that a lot. I'm just simply saying that's what happened. So they're trying to get you in a position to where you said that you could speak about this stuff. That's what the attempt is. So there is a big difference. Very big difference. We'll continue here.
Now, keep in mind, I live in rural Wyoming in the middle of nowhere. My closest airport, 30 miles, and I have one plane that leaves from our airport every day, and it's a CRJ 200.
So you would testify, by the way, if she asked you again?
1,000%. And in fact, no one's ghosted her, at least not me. I would love an opportunity.
At least not me. That's interesting. No one's ghosted her. At least not me. Now, that's interesting. Who could he be talking about? Is he throwing Mellon under the bus a little bit there? Why would he do that? I don't know. I'm not saying he is. I'm just saying it's very interesting for him to drop the at least not me.
I just need some notice. Got to give me more than 3 days.
I totally get it. And at the end of the day, I wanted to ask you, because you guys are on the same side. It's for transparency. So I hope it happens.
100%.
Lou Elizondo.
Luna's not an enemy. Correct. Look, he's doing great work.
I hear you.
Luna's not an enemy. He's not an enemy. See, that's him kind of, I think, reaching out to his fan base saying, hey, look, I don't want trouble with her. I don't want anybody going after her. I don't want anything going on. Let's keep it chill here. This is Congress. I think that's what he's alluding to on that. But what you don't get from this clip, and you get the same theme that you got from Elizondo's original tweet, you don't get this urgency. You don't get this, and I'm telling you, I really want to go. We're really excited. I don't have to wait for a phone call from you. I'm going to be calling you. Don't wait for me to call. I'm going to call you. I want to get this thing set up. Mellon's really excited. We're here. We're bringing it for the people. You still don't get that from Lou. You don't get that sense. All you're simply getting is defense, defense, defense. Okay? That doesn't look great to me. I think if you were in his position, you'd want to go. You'd be talking more about that.
Lou, thank you so
I'm
much.
I'm a friend, not an enemy of what she's trying to do.
Got it. Thank you for clearing the air. Appreciate it, Lou. Good seeing you.
I'm a friend. All right. He's a friend. He wants to be. Lou just wants to be friends. All right. All right. Okay. So that was Lou's statement there. Now, Anna Paulina Luna, of course, responds again. All right. So we get another response. I'm telling you guys, this is why I did the show on this today, because we got so much back and forth here, and we do this in a timeline that's actually interesting. You guys are seeing this as we're breaking it down day in, day out. It's all in order. I think that's a very cool way to look at it. So the response from Anna Paulina Luna, here it is right here. I just talked to Comer regarding issuing subpoenas for certain individuals that developed skiff flu. Still talking skiff flu here. Or had other things come up when we asked them to come in to divulge information to Congress. What I love about this job is flushing out the she's still jabbing. She's still jabbing here. Flushing out the truth tellers from those that are trying to sell books and potentially being disingenuous in an effort to undermine our investigations. See you in the skiff. Now, does she say Lou's name again? Does she say it there? No. But how do we know now? Oh, wait a second. We know she's talking about Lou now. All right. How do we know that? How do we know that? Well, we have to give another big shout out to Red Panda Koala here. This is, I think, your third one here today, Red. You've been going crazy on the clips, bro. Thank you for the hard work, dude. Making my life easier. I was going to have to go find this clip today, and I was like, fuck, I think Red already posted it. So how do we know? When she mentions the book is the tell, ladies and gentlemen. The book is the tell. Let's go back to, and this is Anna Paulina Luna, post the congressional hearing last November. Okay, and this is what she had to say.
What I will state is yesterday, was I a little bit disappointed in some of the responses from the witnesses? Yes, we got some great stuff, but I'm not interested in hearing about people's books. I'm interested in hearing about whether or not people can answer the questions.
Oh, okay. Now, I could be wrong, but I think that the only person that had a book or mentioned a book on that entire panel, I don't think Gallaudet has a book. I don't think that, I'm going to blank on his name right now, the other reporter that was there. And then the NASA guy, no, I know his name, Mike Gold. Remember when Corbell called him NASA guy? I don't think he has a book either. So the only person there has a book. So she's mentioned this before. So I don't even you can't even argue at this point, in my opinion. It's pretty obvious that she's talking about Lou. She's talking about Lou, guys. I think this is kind of this is why it's great to be able to have these clips and try to remember them so you can reference the stuff back and you can really kind of dig through and go through it. Okay. So she says, I just talked to Comer regarding issuing subpoenas for certain individuals. All right. So why are we moving on to this next clip? Okay. I heard in a space that I was in a few nights ago. And I brought this up because people were asking, well, can she subpoena people? How does this work? What's going on with this? And I remember from the original announcement here that we're going to watch a clip from, the announcement of the Federal Secrets Declassification Task Force. I remember the conversation about subpoenas coming up. Now, the reason why I remember that and it sticks in my mind when they finally brought the subpoena power up is because I wanted that select committee so that we could get subpoena power. We could bring people in, people like James Lukatsky, people like that who said that they would never go in and talk, even people like Hal Puthoff. And we'll get a little bit more into that as we continue here. This is a long show today, guys. Strap the hell in. We're still going. We're over an hour, but we're going to roll with this here. Now, I don't know how much longer we're going to go. We have to kind of continue on here, but there's not too much more, I don't think. So the reason why I brought this clip in is because this explains, so that we're all on page here, how subpoena powers with Anna Paulina Luna works and why she even brought up Comer to begin with. All right. So this is my tweet. How subpoena powers flow in the case of the task force on the classification of federal secrets. So Comer is he's the chairman on the House Oversight Committee. Okay. Let's watch the clip. And at the beginning of the clip, you're not going to be able to hear him because it's really soft, but Matt Laszlo is actually the reporter that asks Anna Paulina Luna this question. Do you have subpoena power? So shout out to Matt Laszlo. He's boots on the ground. He's doing great. Go show him some support too on Ask a Poll on Twitter.
Do you have subpoena power?
Chairman?
The task force does not have subpoena power. I do. The task force is going to be subsidiary of the full oversight committee. So if we have to issue one, Congresswoman Luna, we'll discuss it and we'll take appropriate action.
We'll discuss it. We'll discuss it and take appropriate action. So yeah, I mean, look, she's in control there. I mean, not directly in control, but at the exact same time, if she wants to recommend that, I don't see any reason why Comer would turn away her. I'm pushing my desk up a little bit too here, guys. Sorry if you can hear that. Jesus, I got to stand up. I'm getting sick of sitting down. Thank God for sit-stand desks. You get over an hour and you're like, damn, I want to stand up. So she has that ability to go to Comer. They can discuss it. And like I said, I don't see any issue if she feels like she's not getting the actionable intelligence that she wants, or that she has the option to maybe get close to. She thinks anything's holding up her investigation and all of this. She's probably going to look for it. She's probably going to look to use it. Right. So that's there. Now, the reason why this next clip, and this is, yeah, so Red, you came right when I pulled up all your clips. By the way, what is this hashtag grifter, Red? What is this hashtag grifter? Dude, I seen that the other day and I was dying. So here's the thing. We know Elizondo has been saying, look, the reason why I missed was because the short notice, blah, 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 right? And we know that Angelino Luna is at least at the very minimal threatening subpoena power to have him, to kind of force him to come in. So what was Lou doing that would kind of piss her off to this point? Where was Lou back around that time in November? May of this year, where he missed this skiff after this UAP disclosure fund. Hey, he was over here in McMinnville, Oregon. You guys remember where he was at? He's at the UFO Fest.
I wish they'd played more for us.
All right.
Yeah, it's really actually a pretty good band. There we go.
So this would piss me off too a little bit. I think that's Lou right there.
That's great.
There he is. There's Lou and there's Ivan on the back. They're chilling. All right. They're over here at the McMinnville Fest. So Lou is saying that, look, I couldn't make it to the skiff because you guys changed the times. And then when you changed the times, I had to go back to Oregon. I have a pre-existing date, like at this event, right? Where he's getting paid or what have you. He's got to be at the McMinnville, Oregon event. Now, I would make at least this point that I think that everybody at this event here who's all about UFOs, they would probably be okay. I mean, it's UFO Fest, right? They probably would be okay if Elizondo had to give him a rain check. I would guess. If he was going to, bring us disclosure and let everybody know. I mean, this is what everybody wants. We're having a UFO festival. I don't think anybody there is going to say, hey, you know what? Come to this UFO fest. I don't want to know about the truth, So this is here. Okay. He said he couldn't get rid of this event. Now, is that the case? Have we seen anything change in the past due to scheduling? Maybe things that, in my opinion, were probably worth more money or maybe even tougher to have to reschedule. Well, yes, we do. Yes, we do. Okay. Let's pull out here the vault. Let's get into the vault here and pull this out. So this is from November 8th, 2024. Lou Elizondo tweets, "Friends, thank you for your patience. I'm glad to share the new rescheduled dates for my talks in Jacksonville and Evans for March 2025. I will also be announcing new dates across the country shortly. And as always, I look forward to furthering the disclosure effort with you all." Dude, these events were big. There was a lot of money that was put into these events. These book tour events weren't just, 10 people in a bar. It was a lot of money. I think some of them got up into $100 or $150 a ticket, if I remember right. But when you look at here, these dates were moved March 8th, March 9th, Evansville, Georgia, and Jacksonville, Florida. These dates, guys, were originally in November 7th and the 9th, I believe. I believe it was November 7th and November 9th. So he moved 2 of his book events. Okay, you have people buying tickets. They're there. You know what I mean? That's a big deal. I think it would be much harder, I would guess, to move these. And he moved these supposedly to what? To what? To go and testify in Congress in that hearing. So we know he's moved events before for Congress. What's changed? Why is this different now? What's going on behind the scenes? Could he really not cancel McMinnville? Does Lou really want to be here anymore? Where's he at? What's going on? Okay. So I thought this was an interesting little point I wanted to at least bring up for everybody to be able to take a look at. So he can say he can't reschedule stuff, but we know that he can. We definitely know that he can. Okay, where do I want to? Let me jump through my notes here just a second. I want to make sure I didn't leave anything out that I wanted to add here. Yeah. Okay. Well, and before we continue on, I will say this. The pressure is on now. Okay. The pressure for Lou is on now. For Mellon, for everybody. I mean, everyone, they got to get everybody together to go ahead and start wrapping this thing up. I think that there are a lot of people. I'm starting to get the feeling. All right. And I don't think it's just me. That everyone wants to start moving this thing on, guys. Like this disclosure, this working with Congress, getting skiffs around, getting hearings around. This has been for over 2 years. This has been over 2 years. Think about that. David Grush came out in July of 23. It's August of 25. It's not like we didn't know about these guys prior to that. Getting all this around, and I know some things take time, and I understand they got to they wanted to put a task force together, and there's been things along the way. But I'm just simply saying that I get this feeling that there's a pressure that's building. Okay? And so that's why kind of this pressure is happening. Burleson's all over the place. I'll actually, you know what? I'll talk about that a little bit more towards the end. Okay? But yeah, the pressure's building. So at this point, Lou's going to have to go. I don't see how he gets out of the skiff. He's going to have to. All right? Now, if Mellon and everybody gets there at the same time, I mean, what have you, I don't know if they're going to be able to, you know, set all that up, but he needs to go. Stratton needs to go. Stratton needs to go in the skiff. Jay Stratton. He said he's seen biologics, or he's seen the bodies and the non-human beings or what have you. I forget the exact quote from the Age of Disclosure, the release party. He was out there getting interviewed. Well, if he's seen the stuff, he's got to go get in the skiff. Has he? I don't know. James Lukatsky needs to go. All right? James Lukatsky needs to go. That they were able to access the inside of a craft. Whatever you want to believe he means by that, you know. Whether they put a little hole in it and they were able to put the little snake cam in there and take a look at that. You could do that. Hal Puthoff needs to go. Hal Puthoff needs to go. He needs to get in there and do a skiff and go talk. Right? I mean, Lou talks about in his book how Hal Puthoff told Lou about whether Roswell was real. How the fuck does Hal Puthoff know that? We got to find out. We got to find out, guys. Come on. Listen, you're not going to have Congress forever. You're just not. They've got other things to do. And so if you want to include them and you want this big stage, you're going to have to give them something to kind of move everything forward. Now, there is a hearing that is rumored to be coming up. Okay. Now, Burleson spoke about this. Luna spoke about this. A big part of what we want, of what they want. Well, I mean, we want it too, right? But a big part of what everybody wants from that hearing is we want first-hand whistleblowers. We don't want to hear the guy told me that the guy told me. We don't want the trust me, bro. There's no more time for that. We've done that. Guys, we've done that. Okay? We want the first-hand people. And we also learned that we were supposed to get those hearings, or the new hearing, this month. But it got delayed. Was it this month? Or no, it's July, excuse me. It got delayed. So it got pushed. Well, Congress isn't doing shit this month. So they get it. So we get it delayed. So we're looking at September. That's what we kept hearing. All right. Firsthand. But it got delayed initially because they didn't have any firsthand whistleblowers. Now we're hearing that they maybe have one. Jeremy Corbell has spoke about, we're getting to the clip here, guys. I'm trying to work my way through this here. There's a lot going on. Bear with me. So we now hear that that Corbell has made statements of he's got 3 people that are willing and ready to go. All right. Just this week on Weaponized, we get a whole different vibe from Jeremy Corbell. All right. Now I clipped this and I tweeted this out. Doesn't look good for the September UFO hearings if they can't get firsthand whistleblowers to go public. Now on Weaponized, Corbell kind of did his roundtable like sometimes he does. We got Joe Mergia, we got Post Disclosure World, Danny Silva. Hey, what's up, Joe? How you doing? Seen Joe for a long time on there. Big shout out to Danny as well. Okay. And they talk about these firsthand whistleblowers and what the odds are that we're going to get them. So we'll go ahead and run the clip here. Joe Mergia talking with Corbell.
Good question. Yes. So,
Sure.
Have you, or do you know of anybody else who has claimed to have spoken to the witness I described earlier? Somebody who claims to have worked in a program for a decent amount of time and who had hands on a craft, said, yeah, I worked on it. And my conclusion was after 3 years or whatever, this was a non-human craft.
Yes, I know people in official capacity who have interviewed with people that exactly fit this description. And I have pushed on them being like, what is it going to take for someone like that to come forward publicly? And by the way, that was part of an ICIG investigation where people of that level were communicated with. And I know exactly who is doing that back and forth. And here's the deal, man. they said to me, what would be the motivation for someone like that to break from the fold and destroy their whole lives just because they were called in to come talk with me? It's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen.
It's not going to happen? What do you mean it's not going to happen, Jeremy? So are you telling me that these hearings are coming up, or the hearing that's coming up? I always want to say hearings. I don't know why I make it plural. I don't need it to be plural. But that you can't get anybody, we can't get the first-hand person. So you're telling me that the reason why we delayed the hearing is still the same reason? So then what the hell are we doing in September? What's changed? Are we going to get delayed again? I don't know. I still think we are, but I'll continue to play the clip.
And there has to be somebody who's so upset with something surrounding this that they're just like going to try to burn it all down. And usually those people never make it to the starting point. You know, if they're coming from that attitude, people that work in those programs are so highly monitored with polygraphs and, you know, their family lives, making sure they're stable. If you remember all the way back, looking to Lazar, why did he get not called back for the program? It was because they found out his wife was cheating on him and he became a security risk. That's how security clearances work, is you have to have a stable family life. So people that would break from the fold, that are feeling all that type of pressure and just try to burn the whole house down, dude, they're going to find out they're in that mental state way prior to them ever being able to get to the starting point. So it's a long way to say, yeah, man, the Holy Grail. Yeah, I know about those conversations. I've talked to people on both sides of those conversations. The thing is, there's no indication that people like that are at this moment willing to come forward. And in fact, I can't go further than that, but in fact, if people were willing at one point, I don't think it's possible anymore for them.
I don't think it's possible anymore. Look, I'm not saying that Corbell is the end all be all on this part of the conversation. Like what he says goes, we're never going to get anybody. I just simply say it's very interesting to hear the contrast of him saying that he had people ready to go. Now we have nobody. Now nobody's going to put their life in jeopardy like that. And even if they wanted to, even if we had somebody that wanted to come out, they would already have known about it. They've already locked it all down. There's no hope. There's no hope for a whistleblower. You know, Ed Snowden could have never existed, right? He doesn't exist, does he? Yeah. I don't buy all that. I think if somebody wanted to come out and dump all the goods, whatever those goods may be, I think that they definitely could. Otherwise, what the hell are we doing? You know, what the hell are we doing? I mean, that's really what we need. So he's saying no. So once again, so I don't really understand how we're even talking about, we're talking about hearings as some kind of certainty. You know what I mean? I don't know if we're doing that. UAP James in the chat. What's up, dude? You missed, I've ran a couple of your clips, dude. I've ran a couple of your clips. Now, this is where I have now, I think everybody kind of heard this coming from Stephen Diener at first. He was the kind of guy talking about this. I believe he's the start of the rumor here that September 9th is going to be the hearing date. I still think that's a little early. I'll give my reasons kind of more at the end. I'm going to do more of a wrap up at the end of my total thoughts on this whole show here. But yeah, so this is kind of coming from him that we're starting to hear the September 9th date. All right, I'll play the clip from him.
Hey guys, Stephen Diener here, UAP. Didn't expect to do a video here on a Saturday, but I just got done with a very revealing call with a source in DC, and here's what we covered. Two things. Number one,
grain of salt, by the way. Source in DC. I don't know who's that. I don't know, but go ahead.
a new hearing, so details on that. Number two, the misunderstanding between Representative Anna Paulina Luna and Lou Elizondo that has kind of snowballed and taken on a life of its own, unfortunately. So I want to spread the word here from this word I just got during this conversation.
I mean, you want to spread it, but you were probably encouraged a little bit at the same time, right? Right? Yeah, we'll go ahead.
Number one, the hearing is happening September 9th. This is what I was told. Very reliable source. On September 9th, reliable. They will have the next UAP hearing. It's open to the public. It's going to run pretty much just like the other one ran last November. There's going to be 4 witnesses. That's the plan. At least 1 or 2 of these witnesses are first-hand witnesses.
Oh, Jeremy, you said these guys didn't exist, man. God, everything's all over the place. Is it not? Is it not? Steve Diener doesn't agree with you, Corbell. He says he's got the real word. 1-2. Okay? 1-2. You need to, Corbell, get your sources better, okay? We'll continue with this.
That's been the speculation. I know Eric Burleson had put it out there that that's what they wanted to try to get. I think he said it on my show. He said it in a couple of different interviews that he wanted to try to get firsthand witnesses for the next hearing. So it seems like that's going to happen. So I was told by my source that at least 1 or 2 of these 4 witnesses that are going to be testifying at the new hearing on September 9th are going to be firsthand witnesses. So that's going to be huge, to say the least. So looking forward to that. Again, open to the public, September 9th.
Well, here's the thing, Red. If I had to guess, it'd probably be Burleson, right? Stephen Diener's been talking. He's interviewed him, I think, twice now? Or was it just once? I know we spoke to him before, and you know how those podcasts go, dude. You have the pre-chat before the pod, and you have the after chat. And I'm sure he might message him back and forth. Diener's got a pretty big podcast, I believe. He came on Alien Addict, I think, once. Maybe that was like one of the first episodes from the Daily Conspiracy podcast with Ollie and them. But he's been there. I would guess probably him, right? He interviewed somebody else too recently. I can't remember them all off the top of my head, but he had another one. He's had some big clips lately, the last couple of months, no? So I would guess maybe him,
Now, when it comes to the skiff flu scuffle, I think is what I'm going to call it, between Anna Paulina Luna and Lou Elizondo. So obviously all the drama recently, Representative Luna is on Joe Rogan and she's talking about it there. Lou Elizondo didn't like what he heard. He's defending himself. Everybody's taking sides. So here's what I was told. It never needed to get to this far, is what I was told. That it all stemmed from a big misunderstanding. Everybody wants the same thing. I think that's the biggest message I got away from this conversation. Anna Paulina Luna and Lou Elizondo and everybody working on this in D.C. all have the same goal, which is to get answers, to get...
Cool, but we need the urgency. I hear you. I hear everybody say that. We're all on the same team. We all have the same goal. It just doesn't seem like there's much motivation. I hate to harp on that, but that's like, I still think that's like the biggest takeaway that I have from this whole, kerfuffle, this back and forth, is that, you need the urgency. That's been months. Like, the money shouldn't be the issue. The UAPDF is there. Whether Elizondo's a part of it or not, Mellon's there. They can work something out. Give him some money if he needs it. If the book money didn't work, whatever. I don't care. Like, it's been months. They need to kind of get this thing together.
Get disclosure out to the American people. That is the goal. And unfortunately, what happens sometimes is there's kind of drama that gets mixed in the middle, and we lose sight of those goals and we get lost in the drama. And that's what's happened here. So the important message that I want to try to get across after the conversation.
I mean, what do you mean? Here's what I'm trying to understand too, is what does he mean by lost in the drama? I mean, there hasn't been, like, has there been this back and forth since May? No. I mean, we have months without this conversation. The drama is because the skiffs didn't go off. That's the drama. The drama didn't stop the skiffs in July. It didn't stop the skiffs in June. I don't like that. Doesn't make any sense to me. I'm not trying to give him shit. I'm just commenting on the guy's video that I don't understand, like, saying that like the skiffs and things are held back because of drama. I just don't agree with that.
Conversation I just had is that this really stems from a misunderstanding. David Grush, from what I was told, had a health issue a couple of days before the skiff was supposed to take place in April. Everything was lined up. Lou was in town. He had other people there with him to do this. Obviously, Christopher Mellon was supposed to be part of it. As soon as David Grush had to back out due to health issues, not the flu, due to health issues, he was kind of the linchpin. He was the one holding this all together. He was one that was going to lead the conversation and really the driving force behind all of this inside the skiff.
But it sounds like, though, that from my knowledge, and I could be wrong on this, guys, this has been like really muddy to me of exactly what's been going on with this. But Grush has had like a clearance back, but he hasn't had like his SAP clearance, right? To talk about like SAP material in a skiff. He doesn't have that. Like anybody can go into a skiff, but it doesn't really matter if he's in there. There's things that, you know, whatever you want to say that he can say there. He still couldn't talk about programs like that. So I don't know how that was ever even the plan to begin with, to have him lead the meeting when he can't even talk in the meeting. I mean, he met with Arrow and Burleson back, I think that was around sometime in May or June, off the top of my head. But that was just like a briefing. I mean, there were still things they couldn't talk about. And I think that's when they ran into understanding that. So, yeah, I don't think Grush has his SAP clearance, his ability to talk about that in a skiff back yet. I don't think he does. If he does, just, you know, jump in there and say so.
Once he was out, everything kind of fell apart. And that's where I think a lot of people ended up getting angry at each other. Then Chris.
But I'll be honest with you, it's not a good excuse. Like, okay, so Grush can't go. All right, so what? Mellon can still go. Lou can still go. They can still speak for themselves, right? It doesn't have to be the perfect storm. You know what I'm saying? I understand if you want to get a lot of people together and you're like, you know, this is probably going to be the best deal. We'll get it all together, get it all done at once. But if we can't do it, we'll delay it, blah, blah. I don't know. It still sucks. I would rather have them just do the best they can with what they can at the time, because of people have other engagements. So if they're there, do it.
Christopher Mellon ended up calling out sick essentially with the flu. He said he had the flu. Lou Elizondo never had the flu. Lou Elizondo was perfectly healthy. And then
go into the skiff, Lou. If you're good to go to the skiff. Skip Oregon. We don't need Oregon. Oregon can wait. UFO Fest is there every year, dude. It's been a long time.
And with, you know, the congressional members were left with Lou Elizondo and his team and anybody else that they were trying to bring in. But because it wasn't exactly what they were looking for, they decided to try to reschedule. That rescheduling led to scheduling conflicts on everybody's end, everybody involved, and it never materialized from there. And that's where you start to have this infighting and everybody taking sides.
Yeah, no reason to try to make everything perfect. I don't know. Interesting video. So September 9th, that's what we're hearing. Obviously, he's here to kind of, you know, give out some reasoning. He's given his thoughts on it, views on it, what's going on. He's got the back channels, the inside source. He probably does. How do I want to do this? You know, do we just go to these first? I might as well just go to these first. Now I'll go ahead and wrap up on this clip right here, guys. Okay. So just a quick touch on this. A lot of people have been wondering what's going on with the age of disclosure. Jonathan Davies tweeted, I mean, grain of salt, whatever you want. Whether you believe this guy, don't believe this guy, what have you. This is still a very interesting reasoning, I guess, that we found a little bit of a thought process on what could be going on behind the scenes here with age of disclosure and what the holdup is. So Jonathan Davies says age of disclosure release seems to have been blocked due to a legal spat between Lou and Dan Farah. Dan Farah is obviously the director of the documentary. He's also the guy who got Lou the book deal. I believe he's also working with Stratton on his book deal, like trying to get that book published and get that out, which, I mean, I thought Stratton's book, if I'm wrong, I thought that was supposed to come out this year. Maybe it's next year. I don't know. Some of the months blend together with some of this shit, but that's who that is. This is the most important movie ever made about the topic. It has to be released. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not like super excited for it. I feel like I've kind of heard the stories and a lot of that stuff. I mean, it's going to be cool to watch it. I will say this, the trailer did look good as far as like cinematography. They obviously spent a lot of time and effort. Farah's obviously talented as a director, right? Can't really argue that. It looks great. It's probably like overall the best looking UFO documentary that I've seen at all. I'm sure a theatrical release is probably not something that they would turn their nose up to. So I don't know. So they're having some kind of back and forth. You know, we've heard about, well, at least alleged things. You know, Ron James was talking about kind of going back and forth with Lou and Dan on the original documentary that he was supposed to do for Lou. So I don't know. You know, maybe they're fighting over some legal stuff with that. But, you know, grain of salt, obviously, but it's there. You can kind of take it or leave it however you want it. And I didn't want to leave this out because even though it's a little over a week old, I don't know if everybody had seen this. Green Street Post, UFO whistleblower David Grush's lawsuit against Virginia sheriff has been dismissed with prejudice. Grush sued for $2.3 million After documents were released via FOIA. I'm so stupid with stuff sometimes. $1 million. That's from a Liar Liar. Remember that? Jim Carrey, Liar Liar. Via FOIA, the journalist Ken Klippenstein, which revealed Grush's mental health issues. So they looked at it and said, nah, we're keeping the money, dude. It was okay. David Grush's $2.3 million lawsuit against Loudoun County Sheriff Michael Chapman and a member of his staff has been permanently dismissed. So they said, no, not only were we good, but get out of here for good. We're not even doing any appeals or anything like that, I assume. So there's that. I'm not going to get into a bunch of this, but if you were wondering what was going on with this, I think this was a big reason why we haven't heard from Grush. We haven't heard a lot from him. He's got this lawsuit going on. I know he's got the Jerry Bruckheimer movie he's kind of advising on behind the scenes, but that's all behind the scenes stuff, in my opinion, for me. It's nothing that's public. So the public side of it, he's working with Burleson. They're talking. You know, I think that's kind of, he's back in the shadows doing his thing, you know. But maybe we'll hear from him after this. I don't know. This could go either way for me. He could either say, to hell with this, you know, I'm not going to come out public anymore and dip out, or it could invigorate him to want to talk more. So we'll have to see how that ends up playing out, but that's there for it. I tweeted this the other day, and maybe I'll just read this for it, and then I'll go ahead and finish this thing up. So, in my opinion, Congress is trying to button up the UFO investigation by the end of the year. Luna, for example, seems to want to go ahead, round everyone up, and get the facts. Congressional attention span on this topic is shorter than people believe. I do believe that, of course. I wrote it. God, should I read my own tweet? Maybe this is bad. I guess the only reason I'm reading it because it's easy. It's just right there and easy to get it out. Especially when they don't feel they have any actionable intelligence. Can't say it enough. If you're a first-hand whistleblower, if you can prove the craft bodies or the math, there's never been a better time. If not, well, you know, I like the shrug. If not, well, fuck, you know, what are we going to do? Look, Lou has talked a while about wanting to be done with this topic. He doesn't want to be here forever. I'll be honest. I believe that. I don't think that he does want to be here forever. I think he has been game planning maybe a way out of this. And not like an, I mean, you could say that's in like a nefarious, like he's got to get out of here. He's in trouble. Like you can do that. Like there's arguments I've heard people obviously give for that. But either way, I think he's been kind of game planning his way out. I think a lot of things changed when he left the UAPDF. That he kind of went on, the plan or the script or whatever you want to say for it, he's had to improvise a lot. That's where a lot of this shift has happened with him. And when Lou improvises, he's not the all-time greatest improviser, right? You know, off the cuff, he seems like he's when he's right in the middle of it and he's got a good plan or whatever in his head for what he wants to do. The confidence is there and he doesn't make as many missteps. So I think he's just been kind of, you know, moving around and kind of figuring out as he goes, kind of moving through the dark with it. But I think that's really what the restaurant, to tie this whole podcast up together, because we've been here an hour and a half, guys. The restaurant, the skiff avoidances, I think he's trying to move on. He's trying to get out of here. I think when you look at how the restaurant doesn't have a bunch of UFO stuff, I think that's another, that was kind of the dead giveaway for me. But then when you listen to this clip, because I really want to drive this home with this clip, I pulled this in May. Wow, May is a popular month in this podcast. But this clip is from prior to that. This is Lou Elizondo on The Theories of Everything with Kurt. And he talks about, you know, moving on. This is pretty interesting. I think this is an interesting way to look at this.
As far as when my job is done, I don't know. As far as when my job is done, I don't know what that looks like. I pray every day that it's soon. I don't want to be a torch bearer for this. I shouldn't be the torch bearer. I did what I did, but now it's time for other people to take the torch. I am not, you know, I had a really good.
When he says I did what I did, I kind of like, is he almost like hinting that he doesn't have much else to say? I mean, is he kind of hinting that like, I'm going to, you know, what else is there for me to say? Right? That what he's kind of talking about?
Purpose and use early on. But the longer I wait, the more I worry that we could start losing traction. Because look, I'm just one person. I'm just a human. And I make mistakes all the time. As far as when
I think he's being genuine when he's talking right there. He doesn't sound like he's not being genuine. Yeah, I'm a regular person. I make mistakes all the time. We've obviously seen a bunch of mistakes and things that are going on out there. Yeah, I think that he's looking for a way to kind of step forward. But I also think that, Congress is looking for that too. And I touched on this a little bit earlier, and I'm kind of trying to wrap this up, guys, the best I can for you. When I look at what Luna's doing, when I look at what Burleson is doing, look, Burleson went to Mexico. He's chilling with Greer. He's running all around with these guys, looking into the Boogosphere, looking into the Nazca mummies. I believe he was with Bledsoe. He's out meeting all of these whistleblower, all these people, gathering all this intelligence. He's kind of going through his early ufology stages, where we all get into UFOs and we're really excited and we're looking into everything that we possibly can and we're trying to build our own philosophies and see all that. But what we also don't have, or I mean, not us, but like Luna, Burleson, and even Grush, because obviously Burleson spent a lot of time with Grush, is that time isn't unlimited. The task force that Luna has, that federal task force, it has an expiration date. And she's going to want to have something to show for it. Grush can't stay in Congress forever. He's got an expiration date with how with him working there alongside with Burleson. And it's not very long. I can't remember the exact time frame off the top of my head, but it's not very long. And they've been there for a few months. So when we start looking at the end of the year here, there's not a whole lot of room next year. That's what I think is going on. They're really trying to kind of pull everything together. Burleson's trying to get his theory. Luna's trying to get the information. They're trying to go ahead and put the puzzle together and see what they're going to do. Are we going to get disclosure? Can they provide that, or can they not? They don't want to drag this into next year. Could you imagine dragging this into next year? I don't know how you would. There's time for skiffs. There's plenty of time for the end of the year for all of these people to come in. There's plenty of time for new firsthand whistleblowers to come in. Anyone that wants to come in and talk, anyone that wants to come out and expose whatever they have to expose, dude, the time is there. Congress is there. Protections? Listen, Sheehan said it. When Sheehan said it at the end of the other hearing, the guy goes, well, we can get him these protections. And Sheehan goes, yeah, but at the very end of the day, you can't protect from the bullet. What are you going to do? I mean, there is no foolproof protection. That's not a thing. I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me. There is no true protection that's there. You're going to have to risk it. You're going to have to risk it, man. I don't see it any other way. Other than that, we're just telling stories. We're spinning wheels. And, we'll just go back to 2016, 2015, 2014. We'll just go back to talking about Bob Lazar again, He's got a documentary coming up. He's got one. So that's what I think is going on. I think Congress is trying to wrap this thing up. I think Lou is trying to look for the long game. And that's kind of what we're doing. I think Luna's got a lot of pressure, and that's what causes a lot of this back and forth, because Lou doesn't want to deal with it, and Luna needs to go ahead and get some movement. So it's this push pull. It's this push pull, and at the end of the day, no matter what way you look at it, Lou can always go down there and he can just tell him, hey, this is where remember from the Wall Street Journal. The second part where they talked about how Lou told Kirkpatrick where a USB stick was at the Pentagon. They had all this info on it. They went look for the USB and it wasn't there. And what happened? Nothing. Even if Lou's lying, okay? Even when he goes in there and tells them, hey, this is where the craft is, or we've heard about this or that, and they can't find it, he can just say, well, that's where it was. That's what I thought. He has every out. There's nothing holding him. So I don't know. I think he just doesn't want to deal with it. But he has every out. So maybe we'll get that. Maybe we'll get the hearings in September. Maybe we'll the hearing in September. Maybe we'll get a first-hand whistleblower. Corbell doesn't think we will. He doesn't think we will. I'm not sold either. I think they could get delayed. September 9th feels a little early. That feels early to me. I mean, if we're going to bring people in skiffs, I'd assume we're going to do that in the next couple of weeks, right? I'd assume 2 or 3 weeks. Why do we need more than that? We can finish that up, get whatever intel they can off of that. Then they can reach out, see who the whistleblowers are going to be there. Maybe push it out till, November again. Get some time to kind of get everybody's head together on what they want to do, what the hearing's going to be about, game plan. I think September 9th is a little early. When I heard September 9th, that was the very first thing that I thought to myself. I said, damn, that's early. I wouldn't have expected that at all. But I don't know. I could be wrong. I'm not psychic. But that's going to be it, guys. Ladies, gents, terrestrials. We're all terrestrials, huh? Where did we start here? We started with Chris Ramsey. He's in the skiff. He made it in the skiff. But that's where we're going to land it. All right. It's 2:30, hour and 40 minutes. Please like, share, subscribe. Like I said, my channel, these podcasts that I do, they're not scheduled like every week or anything like that. It's just when I build something up enough to build up enough, some good bookmarks. I feel like we get enough news together where I'm interested in coming in here talking about it. And mostly it's about visual aids. I want to have enough video clips and everything to put together, not only a good show, but so I can also fully project how I feel about it so you guys can see really where my head is. And sometimes that takes a while. Every week is like, sometimes you get to be where you're trying to stretch stuff and it's like, I don't want to do that, man. I just want to give you my real thoughts and kind of give you guys some content from front to back on it. So thank you everyone for coming. Obviously we had UAP James in here. We had Red Panda Koala. Jess, you can see you came a little bit late. John Stokes a little bit late. Don't worry, guys. You can watch this back. Puck Elf, Moody Mongol, Amy, Alien Girl. She was in here. Good morning, UFO. I want to thank everybody for taking the time here. Okay, we're gonna get a little bit of music going. We get a little music going here. Supposed to be getting the music going. Where's the music? All right. Okay, there it is. All right, you guys, get out there. Have a great rest of your Sunday. I'm hungry. All right. Awesome job. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. We're trying. Hey, we're trying. Thank you guys. Have a great rest of your day.